All right, let's move to the New York Gents. New coach, new general manager, same quarterback, same running back. They did add Tyrod Taylor, who could also get some playing time. Mark Lewinsky to help that offensive line, which is in need of help. We mentioned Ricky Seals-Jones left Washington. He signed in New York. Matt Breida, which is a good pickup from Buffalo. Didn't get a lot of run there last year, but has had flashes in his career. Rodney McLeod. We mentioned Rodney McLeod. He left? Did he sign with the Giants? I'm trying to think. I know he left Philadelphia. I have to double check that. John Feliciano, they also signed, and then Max Garcia to offer some more offensive line help. They did lose James Bradbury. We talked about that already. Huge get for the Eagles. Evan Ingram is now in Jacksonville. We see if he can finally sort of tap into all that crazy potential that never really showed itself in New York. Logan Ryan, who was a big part of their back end as a veteran for a few years. Kyle Rudolph was released. Dante Pettis is now in Chicago. So last year, this team went 4-13. Joe Judge didn't work out. The latest on the Bill Belichick coaching tree to not exactly hit a grand slam. So he's back in New England. He could be calling offensive plays for my guy Mac Jones. We'll see. Brian Daboll, is he the answer, Breech, for Danny Dimes turning things around and having a Josh Allen-like resurgence?
I am split on the Giants. So they're over under a 7, which I hate because I think they're going to go 7-10, but you can't predict the push. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do here, but I do think Daniel Jones is going to be much better in 2022, which I know sounds ridiculous because clearly the Giants don't think that because they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. But you saw what Brian Daboll did with Josh Allen. And no, Josh Allen and Daniel Jones are not the same quarterback, but they have a similar enough skill set that I think Brian Daboll can make Daniel Jones a much better quarterback. And when you look at what the Giants did last season, and there were just so many games. I remember that Washington game, Thursday night, I think it was week 2, that the Giants just blew. They absolutely should have won the game. And it was one of the games you blame on bad coaching. Then the next week, they lost by 3 points to the Falcons. And then one other game I explicitly remember them was they lost a crazy, crazy Monday night game to the Chiefs. I think they lost by 3. And so you're talking about 3 games that they probably should have won. And I think if Brian Daboll's their head coach, they probably win those. And those were all in the first 9 weeks of the season. So instead of starting 3-6 like they did, they could have been 6-3. And when you look at it that way, it just seems like after they started 3-6, went to the bye, the wheels fell off the wagon, everyone gave up. That's what that felt like, except for Debo. Their only win after the bye was that crazy one against the Eagles. I didn't want to bring that up. So
yeah, they went 1-7 after the bye.
Yeah, so it just like it seemed like they were so bad at the bye of the record that everyone just mailed it in for the rest of the season. And
yeah,
so, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, including the last 2 games, they lost 29-3 to the freaking Bears and then 22-7 to football team to end the season. I mean, if that's not our coach is getting fired type of football, I don't know what is.
They scored 10 points or 13 points or less in every game after the bye except for one.
And that was against the Chargers, who didn't play any defense. Sweet mercy.
And that was like a game where the Chargers were up huge, and they probably just gave up in the fourth quarter and said, whatever, let's let them. Let's get them. They can get some pity touchdowns because we feel incredibly sorry for them.
So 4 wins last year. How many wins is Brian Daboll worth?
So, some of these losses are big. James Bradbury, obviously they had to let him go. Salary cap, like I don't think they wanted to let him go, and he's going to be tough to replace. I think they get the 7 wins. And so I'm just trying to look at the schedule. I'm stalling so that I can decide if that means I want to take the over or under because the total is exactly 7. So I can't cop out and say, I think it's going to be a push. But by saying the over, that means I think I can get to 8 wins. And I'm not sure about that. That sounds like too many. 6 sounds like, I think they can do better than that. So if I had to bite my tongue and make a bet, I would probably take the over.
I just don't see it. I'm going 6-11. So I'll tell you the wins, and you tell me if those are how certain you are about those wins. So the Panthers win in week 2. That feels relatively certain.
Okay.
Week 4, they beat the Bears. You okay with that?
Yeah.
Week 8, they win at Seattle. That doesn't necessarily seem easy, but Seattle's not very good.
Okay.
Then they beat Houston coming out of the bye in week 10. Have them winning against the football team, the Commanders, in week 13, a home game for the Giants. At Minnesota, just to sort of rub salt in Kirk Cousins' wound. in week 16. And that's it. Now,
That's
the other,
6.
that's 6, right? That's all I have. So, can they beat the Titans in week 1? Cowboys, no. Can they beat Green Bay on the road in week 5?
In England,
Okay. Does that make it better or worse?
better.
Because Green Bay also has to travel.
Green Bay, it's just when you haven't played in England, you got to use those time zones.
And then they followed that with the game against the Ravens. I don't think they're winning that game.
Probably not winning that game.
They could have beat the Jaguars in week 7. I had the Jaguars pulling that one out just to.
Okay, that's a coin flip game. So let's say you give them that, right? That puts them at 7.
That puts them at 7. And then
The Lions.
the Lions is another game I had Detroit winning.
It's a
That's
coin
at home.
flip.
That's in New York, so they can win that game. That's 8.
8.
Cowboys loss, Eagles loss, Commanders loss. And then I haven't beaten the Vikings, which is a toss-up game, so we'll make that 7.5. And then the Colts game,
They're
I
not
don't think
winning that.
yeah, and the Eagles at home on the road, excuse me, to end it. That
And
feels like
what do I bring up every time we get to week 18?
everyone sits down if you're. But the Eagles, I think that
The
division's
Eagles
going to be
could clinch
close.
a wild card spot by then. And if they can't win the division, they say, we can't really improve anything. Let's bench everyone.
All right, you're going over 7. 8.
And
You think this team has 8 wins in it?
I am not. I think 7, but I don't know how to. I don't want to pick 6. I don't want to pick 8 because 6 seems too low and 8 seems too high.
Plus 800 to win the division, by the way.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet that.
Which seems too low. That's it for the NFC East win
So
total.
you have 6 and 11, and I have 7 and 10.
Yeah, I have the Eagles winning the division with 10 wins, followed by the Cowboys at 9 and 8. Does 9 and 8 in the NFC get you into the playoffs, Breech?
Did last year.
So that's not terrible news for Mike McCarthy. I don't know if that's enough for Jerry Jones to be happy, but whatever. And then I have the Giants and Washington both finishing at 6 and 11.